the days of the early suns. Through walls of lost belief, laid waste and buried deep. Summer to be set up to fall. But there's no fear that lives inside your soul. Yeah, inside this world, there is no way back to forgiveness. Undone, deliverer, the simple and the same as of the innocent.
Hello and welcome to this. It is your round 9 Saturday of the OPL. My name is Michael Hingising and I'm joined here by Joshua Jish, Carl Hummerson, and also Bradley Teagun Seymour as we get into this, our final week of the regular split. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah? I'm
really excited for
I'm
this
still
game.
yet to pick you up on that free Callista lesson you promised me last week.
I'm still yet to see my PayPal get inflated. So
It's true. It's true. And Teagun, how's your week been? You've been hitting the gym pretty hard. I saw you did a 120 kilo bench press. Or was it a deadlift?
Yeah,
Did you-
that was benching. I tried. Didn't
Yeah.
didn't get it all the way up, but I tried. All right, I tried my best, and that's what counts.
Exactly. All right, let's take a look at the standings of the OPL as we get into this. Like I said, our final week of competition before we head into playoffs. Direwolves are currently top of the table with Legacy and Chiefs on equal points. In second and third place, Sin and AV rounding out the gauntlet, whereas Abyss, Team Regicide, and TM are the bottom 3 teams of the OPL currently, but all things could change. First, second, third, and fourth are all still up for grabs as we head into this final week. And let's take a look at the schedule of this week's games. We're going to kick things off with Sin versus Legacy. It's like a friendly-natured grudge match of sorts. Regicide versus Abyss will round out today, and then tomorrow TM will take on AV, and Chiefs v Direwolves. It's all going to come down to that last match. It could well come down to that last match. Can Direwolves maintain their first place, Jish? Obviously, you'd hope not.
I mean, yeah. What do you want me to say? No. I guess we'll see.
All right, let's take a look at our first game of the day then. Legacy versus Sin. And, I mean, Legacy have looked very strong all split, but they did stumble a couple of weeks ago versus AV, Jish. So is that a one-off, or is that something that the same weaknesses could be exploited today?
I mean, I said it last week. I never want to undermine the victory Avant had, but I think that there were a handful of issues. Carrying the plague was probably the biggest one for Legacy.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, there was just some sloppy errors that they admitted to themselves, and I think that they will have worked on. And as you mentioned, the standings and the implications of this match mean so much to them that I think you'd have to expect that they're bringing their A game today.
Yeah, I think it's also just it's an outlier. They happen every now and then. Sometimes you rock up, you just don't play well, and that's what happened with Legacy. And on the other side, Avant, they played probably close to their best. They played really, really clean, really well. So I wouldn't look too much into it.
All right, well, for today's game, if Sin can 2-0 Legacy, they have a shot at second. If Legacy can 2-0 Sin, they have a shot at first. And interesting stat, right? Sin v Legacy across the year. Sin are currently up 7-6 going in across the first split, the playoffs, and also this split. But do you see any particular stylistic differences with these teams in the way they play?
Yeah, so I think it's always nice to look at the history of the teams, what their head-to-head and stuff is. But obviously that was a different roster. They had flares, and I think you can't really count on that too much. I think it's really interesting to see these two teams come together because Sin are known for previously probably being really sloppy, aggressive, not that calculated.
Brawlers.
I think that that's an unfair way to describe them. They've actually almost perfected that style. They play a really aggressive aggressive early game, and then, you know, completely contrasting to that, Legacy, you know, don't play the game properly until like after 30 minutes. Sometimes it seems, you know, where Lost has got like his 3 attack speed items, and then, you know, his support has Ardent Sensor sort of thing. So it's like, I think, you know, you have like this really, really strong early game team, and then like a really, really good late game team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, once you get the Ardent Sensor power spike, the one item power spike now that it is, because your support's just healing you, shielding you, giving you 30% or whatever it is attack speed since it scales with your level, and the draining as well, letting you bypass lifesteal items, Blade of the Ruined King, Bloodthirst, whatever it is. Maybe we'll see Legacy shift forward a little bit. Instead of taking 30 minutes, they might just take 25 minutes or 20 minutes, giving Sid a bit of a clock now. So it might be a bit more difficult for them.
Well, speaking of that bot lane, let's take a look at FBI versus Lost. And as we bring these up, Lost, the MVP of last split, taking on FBI, who I would say is popularly thought of as one of the best bot laners in the OPL. It's comprising one of the best bot lanes in the OPL right now, Jish.
Yeah, well, I think that FBI is like the Radiant Light, to be honest. A lot of his play reminds me of Derek's play. I think he's a fantastic player. And
Good posture as well.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I saw him last week when he was sick, and he sort of was like,
Wow.
you know, dying in his chair.
I mean, when anyone's sick, they're going to look different.
Yeah, no, I think FBI is a really good player, and I think that his team often plays, you know, else around the map. He's left to fend for himself a lot, which, you know, Lost has never had to deal with. He has his mid laner playing Karma in half their games. You know, he has his draft is literally tailored to make his life easier. So I think that, yeah, like, they're both fantastic players, but I think that, you know, the fact that FBI does it resourceless almost, or in some senses, is like very impressive.
I agree, it is impressive, but you're kind of talking down Lost, who is a great player in his own right. Yes, he gets help. He gets help from Juves, he gets help from Clay, he gets help from Cupcake, but the reason they do that is because he's so good. They're able to play through him and put all of their resources in him because he's able to convert it into victories.
But what that means, though, is that FBI is doing 30% of his team, or over 30% of his team's damage, which is insane for somebody who's not getting a lot of resources. I want to ask you guys a bit of a tough question. Will the winner of this series have a claim to being the best AD carry in the OPL?
Yes,
Yes?
absolutely. We've got the perfect player on Chiefs, just not good enough. Just not good enough. I've always said Lost is probably the best ADC right now. It's really hard to distinguish between the top few, between King, Lost, FBI, and Raze. But if I was to give it to someone, it would be Lost right now. And if FBI comes out and has a stellar performance, then I'd have to rethink that and probably give it to him.
Yeah, I think this series should be a good barometer. Obviously, just a quick disclaimer, I don't think FBI plays without any resources. Often he gets a lot of help too. But I think that you know, this should be a good test to see who is the best bottom lane in the OPL. I think, you know, stylistic wise, they're both very aggressive laners, and probably expect to see a lot of action down there.
Another place on the map where both teams kind of like to play and carry through is mid lane, and I want to talk about Ryoma versus Claire. Last week we saw Ryoma pop off on Claire and then go to the Zed once it was banned out. Do you think Legacy are going to ban out Talia today?
Absolutely. They can't afford not to. Why would you give Ryoma his best champion? I don't know why he got it last week. That's just silly in its own right. So I think they just have to do it.
I think it's a really interesting question, and it is probably a very hard area for Stroll Strikes to manage, I think, because, you know, currently they've started on red side, right? So you'd expect probably the Maokai ban, maybe the Zac ban, depending on how strong they think that is still. We've always said that Cupcake's not the best Thresh, so maybe they want to ban that. Kallista's pretty broken, like they want to ban that. Now we want to ban Talia too. That's the 5th, so like where are you sacrificing this
they
thing?
do have a lot. And like you said, Cupcake's not the greatest Thresh, and he's gone up against Rogue, who, you know, when he plays and wins, he might tweet out ban Thresh to remind them, right? But for me, it's a tier list. What is going to cause you the most problems? And for Legacy, they focus on winning bot lane. Talia's a mid laner that can influence bot lane quite heavily, so I just can't see them giving it up because it's going to be too difficult for them to deal with.
So you think they ban Talia, leave up Thresh?
That's what I would do, but it's a hard ask between, you know, like you said, Thresh, Maokai, Zac, Kalista. All of these champions are really, really good, really strong, really contested. But Talia would be just my first ban because you just got to get rid of it.
All right, let's take a look at a very excited Juves and Sin as they're getting ready right now in the studios and go through the Sin lineup. Their top laner and NA import is Dockler. Their jungler is Juves, also their captain. Their mid laner, who we spoke about, is Ryoma, who some people refer to as Tommy, being his first name. Their AD carry is FBI, and their support player is Rogue. You can see Bensel there in the background, the chess master himself. And these guys, I mean, they're going to be hungry for this win, obviously, because they actually lost to Legacy when they played them earlier on in the split. But, you know, since then they've gone to Rift Rivals, come back, and they're claiming they've got a Rift Rival buff. So I'm excited about Sin. Meanwhile, their opponents across the Rift are going to be Legacy. Let's run through their lineup. Their top laner is Tally. Their captain and jungler is Carbon. Their mid laner, who we spoke about, is Claire. Their AD carry and MVP of last split is Lost, and Cupcake is their support player. And interesting, you mentioned there, Tegan, that you don't think Cupcake plays Thresh necessarily very well, but he played it last week and they looked all right.
Well, there's a difference between playing against a bottom-tier team in the OPL and playing it against a team that could come second.
Interesting.
And he himself agrees that he's just not very good on it compared to his other champions. And it's a good trait to have in a player, is to recognize what you're good at and what you're bad at and be able to sort of tell your team to play around it.
Absolutely. All right, let's get you guys' predictions then as we get into this first game. Jish, who's going to win this one?
It's so hard to say, right? Like, I think that they're very, very evenly matched teams, and they have both their clear advantages, and you know, there's reasons why you could pick either. I'm going to go with Sin. I think it's going to be a 2-1 in their favor.
Well, this also benefits you, I think, if it's a 2-1.
Well, a 2-1 either way benefits me. So I just need, you know, there to be 3 games. But I think that Sin, you know, they've put in a lot of work this split, and I think it's going to, you know, come up tonight.
I'm going to go pretty much the complete opposite and go with Legacy 2-0.
Whoa!
Not because it perpetuates the Chiefs' 4th place meme, which I think is brilliant, but like I said, with Ardent Sensor, they can scale faster, so I'll give it to them.
All right, let's take a look at your tips, opltips.com.au, and Legacy. 76% of people think they're going to take the series, only 23.8% of people think Sin are going to take it. What's interesting about this is I will say almost 3/4 of people think it's going to be a 3-game series. Only 2.9% people think it's going to be a Sin 2-0. Where are the true believers today? Get on there. What are you doing? I should mention as well that there's prizes for our tipping competition, but if you're outside that top 200, like I currently am, and you sign up to Uber Eats with the keyword that is on your screen right now, OPL Split 2, you can get $10 off your next order when you start a new account. We're about to get into our first match of the day. You should tweet us as #IamOPL and let us know what summoner spell would you add to the game. You can also let us know that in Twitch chat. And I've been told as well, no revive. No bringing back revive is the word of the day. All right, it's time for us to get into our first match of the day as Sin take on Legacy. So let's throw it to your casters, Spawn and Fish.
Thanks, guys. I'm Matthew Fish Stewart. Joining me is Jake Spawn Tiberian, about to get into the first game of the final week of the regular season of the OPL. It's going to be Legacy taking on Sin. Last time around, this game was an absolute phenomenal game to watch.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I think that, you know, that's just Sin games at the moment. Whenever they play a top 4 team, it certainly is exciting. Able to beat out the Chiefs, you know, going toe-to-toe with both Legacy and the Direwolves already this split. So I think this is going to be a great prelude to what will be a great gauntlet run. And so many implications for the gauntlet coming into this game. I mean, Sin can get as high as 2. Legacy can still take first. I mean, both these teams can end up 4th. Stuff can fly absolutely everywhere, Fishery, so it should be an entertaining series.
It's then again, the top 4 finish in the OPL will be decided by not only the first match this week, but also the final match, which will be the Chiefs taking on Direwolves.
No one cares about that. Let's focus on this one.
Let's get straight into the first match of today, shall we? It's going to be Sin taking on Legacy. Already the bans are coming through. Jarvan and Braum taken off the table by Sin, with Talia as well as Thresh banned out by Legacy.
And this is interesting, right? Because I was going to say, if you follow that up with a Tristana, arguably the best bottom lane that Legacy has been able to pick up, and also should mean that Phoebe, over on the side of Sin Gaming, may go towards a first pick Kalista here, Fishery.
Potentially. Sin have prioritized Gragas quite heavily when it's been left up through pick and ban. Let's see if they decide to pick that first here. At least was the final ban coming out from Legacy.
You know, I'm not expecting to see Akali, although I have been a personal fan of it at the moment. Think it beats out Nara in the top lane. No one else seems to agree with me. Urgot sucks at the moment, so that's not going to be locked in. Dokla is just having a little bit of fun. Getting rid of Elise and leaving up Maokai probably lends itself to a first pick. That makes some sense.
And that can still be flexed between Dokla as well as Jubes. And it's going to be Lost picking up Xayah as the AD carry of choice.
And this is really interesting because the only laning support that really does well with her is Rakan, so they have to take that straight away, Fish. Otherwise, they would have left up Kalista Rakan, which would have spelled big trouble, as Rogue is a monster Rakan player.
And we've said time and time again that both Lost and Cupcake synergize very well in the bottom lane, so picking up 2 very synergetic champions.
Yep.
will be great for them. And it is going to be the
synergetic. I don't know. Symbiotic.
I don't know.
They just enter each. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Jish
Let's
will
move
yell at
on.
me later and tell me what the actual word or phrase is meant to be. But Kalista does get locked in for FBI, and Rogue will pick up Alistar.
And that's interesting, right? Because Alistar kind of Rakan light at the moment, but still very good at partnering up with Kalista. And I think Kalista plus X has shown itself to be the best bottom lane at the moment in Oceania. The continued ability to be able to fight. People have thrown things like Poppy at it to try and shut it down, but it just hasn't worked out. So being able to get it on the second round of blue side picks is a pretty big deal, Fish.
And now will be the final pick that comes out for Legacy, picking their top lane nice and early here for Tally.
Yeah, and Tally's been what has got Legacy rolling in the team fights. I mean, everyone talks about Lost and his ability to, you know, scale into the late game, but really Tally has almost single-handedly got them there. You think back to their match against the Chiefs, they were falling 2,000 gold down. Tally was able to 1v3 the back line of the Chiefs Esports Club and really secured that lead. Getting rid of Jace is a smart move because it is one of the counter picks to Gnar, and they want Tality to be able to have some priority in that lane. Wouldn't be surprised if Fiora also hit the bench here, Fish.
Yep, let's see if Soulstrike decides to ban Fiora as his final ban of the draft phase. But they decided not to pick up Carbon's champion here very early on as they're going for the top lane pick. You see Soulstrike's being very vocal with his team. Rumble is the ban that comes out from Legacy.
Rumble! I mean, Dokla played it last week when Roma picked up the Z in the mid lane. Played it quite well. His ults are a little bit all over the place, but apart from that, had a pretty good performance. Maybe they're going to pick a mid lane here. Although you'd have to think they just take jungle and leave Claire the counter pick.
Doesn't make much sense to give Carbon counter pick here.
Unless he has something real weird. Like, unless he's going to play Kayn or something like that, that they want to have as little time for Sin as possible to be able to, you know, have any form of response. I think that right now, I was going to say, if you're Sin, you can actually pick up Gragas in the next round of picks and put Maokai into Gnar. It's a fine pick, and if you have some ganking pressure, it's all right. Makes sense, that therefore, that Carbon takes it away.
Now we picked up in the jungle for Legacy. Sin are no strangers to the Gragas pick. For a very long time, that was their priority. But let's see what they decide to pick up.
I want to
as
see
their
him
top
play
lane pick.
Fiora.
It'd be great to watch, and they might just do it. Sin have been going for
There
a
you
lot of 1-4 comps, and they do lock in the Fiora for Dokla in the top lane.
This is the change in Sin Gaming. A team that was so centered around their bottom lane. Dokla, just play the Gragas, just play a tank, you know. You sit on an island and we'll carry you to victory. Now, giving him a Fiora into Gnar matchup, a matchup that Fiora can definitely start to exploit as the game progresses, Fish. Tally's going to really have to be careful because Dokla has made his mark on the OPL. And that is real juicy.
Karma gets locked in for Claire in the mid lane.
So not really a counter pick, Fish.
Nope.
That's all I'm saying. Syndra doesn't really struggle all that much with Karma, I don't think.
Is it a wave clear-esque lane between the two of them?
It certainly is. I mean, Syndra shouldn't be able to kill him. We'll see whether Claire is able to pick himself up at Athene's and an Ardent Sensor and really run around Summoner's Rift being a nuisance.
Rogue's doing the Mukau Alistar bell.
Dong, dong, dong.
Goodness sake.
I like the single dong.
I hate it. Ejim tilts me when he does that, but no Ardent Sensor supports coming out for either side here.
I mean, no, that's not true. Alistar is
That's
definitely
true. He
an
can
Ardent
pick it up.
Sensor support. Stoneborn Pact, as well as the fact that he gets Trample running around in the team fights. He's going towards it. Coin, Ardent Sensor, Alistar, broken. At the same time, you know, potentially Claire can pick it up with the AoE shield. Rakan, not the best, but once again can go Stoneborn Pact if he really has to fish. So, Ardent Sensor, we're going to see it every game, I think. It's a broken item. I think it's a great form of broken item because anything that encourages grouping up and team fighting, I just leave them all in the game.
Well, we potentially will see one coming out from Claire in the mid lane here on his Karma. We've seen historically Karma's built towards more support-centric
Yeah, I
items.
think he's going to go with Athene's Ardent Sensor Deathcap. That's what I assume is going to be the build. Gone are the days of Morellonomicon, like Luden Echo, Karma running around in the mid lane. So, yeah, I think he's going to be full support. And it gets scary because when you have Xayah and Gnar with a lot of attack speed coming out of those Ardent Sensors, plus great initiation coming out of Cupcake, I mean, that's a good team fighting team.
Yeah, it's going to be very fun to watch this matchup here. Sin, as you mentioned, are going towards the 114 comp with Fiora top lane, putting a lot of pressure on Dokla, so to speak, but throughout the latter part of the split, he's been improving every single week and been looking good top
I mean,
lane.
you should listen to Juice speak about the kid because he's really excited about him now. He said when Dokla first came over, you know, the team didn't really trust him, wasn't really working out. But since then, he has earned the right to play these hard carry top lanes.
He certainly has, and he's been able to successfully lead Sin to victory a couple of times through split pushing alone. But for now, let's check in with Sin's coach, Bensel, who is standing by with Sarianne.
Thanks, guys. I'm standing here with Bensel. We're seeing Dokla on more of these carry top laners. Is it something that you're trying to get him comfortable on heading into the gauntlet?
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to play various styles going into the gauntlet. Teams have been tending to leave him on an island a little bit, so him on champions like Fiora kind of suits what other teams are trying to do against us a bit right now.
When we looked at Sin in the team lineup, they looked like they were having a good time and a good giggle. Were there any last-minute words or advice you gave to them before going into this series?
I just repeat everything that we've said in practice. They know what they need to focus on in this composition, and just try and repeat that, echo that as much as possible.
Well, best of luck with the series, and thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, no problem.
There you go, giving a lot of priority to Dokla in this match already, though. Rogue's been chunked out quite a bit, and he's forced to use a potion very early in the bottom lane.
Coin. I am shocked.
Relic
Fish.
Shield.
Instead, looking for a little bit of a shove from the Relic Shield. Claire uses his first big Q on the minion wave, which means, of course, that we'll have a little bit of a harder job shoving out at level 1. But double W starts out of the Rakan Xayah lane, and Rogue already using 2 potions, Fish.
Yep.
Is a little bit spicy.
Let's see if Sin can win the push war, because Relic Shield does give you a nice burst.
It does if they can get any access, but they can't.
Already FBI taking quite a bit of damage from the Xayah Rakan combo. Even Rogue gets a bad trade at the end of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic trade coming out of Lost in Cupcake, and we've been speaking about this a lot. You know, the rights to be the best bottom lane in the league. I mean, I'm sure somewhere Destiny and King are absolutely shaking their head because they murdered everyone in the gauntlet last split. And they probably still think that they have the right to be called it. Cupcake goes in, misses that one, Fish.
And Rogue's looking for some return, but just slams the ground like an angry cow and doesn't get anything out of that.
Yeah, unfortunate. I mean, I like to see the fists into the ground every now and again, but it's better when there's a champion there as well, Fish.
And Sin will win the level 2 war, so to speak.
Ooh.
Dokla goes in on Tally, top side of the map, but Tally trades quite effectively on Nah here. He's about to go Mega as well.
Yeah, generally, you can see Tally wants to ward the brush, but he kind of knew that Maokai started topside. I'm surprised by that. If you get control over the brushes as Fiora, you can do a lot of good harass, as we saw Dokla put out there. If Tally wards that, he can no longer duck into that bush and be as annoying. So I was surprised that first ward didn't go down into the lane for Tally.
Very curious to see how this matchup pans out between Dokla and Tally, because Nah is one of the king of split pushes in the top lane and one of the king of bullying out champions, but Fiora's doing absolutely fine to kick things off.
No, Fiora will be fine in this matchup. No one really beats Nah in the laning phase, especially with the build that he goes Black Cleaver into Frozen Mallet. It is very frustrating to have to deal with. But Fiora, whenever he goes Mega, is just going to be able to exploit, so watch for that to happen. Looks like Juve somehow got that Scuttle Crab, even though Carbon was standing on it.
Sapling steal, who knows?
Yeah,
something
like that.
Something's gone wrong for Carbon.
But they're on the exact same amount of farm, so all's well that ends okay.
Yes, both tank junglers are just farming up to start things off.
I want to see whether we see double Cinderhulk or whether Carbon goes towards a more aggressive first item, something like the Runic Echoes.
Well, you'd expect double Cinderhulk, with both of them being the only front lines for the team. Maybe minus Nah, so to speak. We have a tweet coming saying, what do you guys write down on your notebooks that you have to look at for every topic? Is it just Art and Sensor wrote 100 times?
So I assume that, talking about the analyst desk, guys, so I don't know, we've got a little bit of lull. Pretty much what happens is, even though we go on air at 3 o'clock, the guys come in at about 11 most days, and we do a couple of run-throughs of what the A block and the D block look like. So that's before game 1 and before game 2. And that means that, you know, they write down what the points they want to talk about, so it actually has a little bit cohesion, so we're not just blabbering like idiots in front of you guys.
Whereas I just draw
I
smiley
like
faces.
to say prior preparation prevents piss poor performances, Fish, and that's exactly what the guys do. They come in and rehearse.
They certainly do. And it's definitely not Art and Sensor written down 100 times, or maybe on
Maybe it is at the moment. Who knows? It is a pretty important item. Carbon's going to bump into Juice here. Juice, yeah, gets a good return there.
Missed his barrel. Juice was able to cancel out of that one with the Twisted Advance, but they'll just butt heads, and Juice will continue farming.
Yeah, that was strange that Carbon went for that invade, because it didn't really give him all that much. You can see bottom lane more action.
That's an Ignite going down to Rogue. Good damage coming in as well. That might be first blood, and it is picked up by Lost. Very confident from Legacy's bottom lane.
Certainly is. great play out of Lost and Cupcake. You can see as soon as they flew in there, they wanted to get the Ignite down, so much so that it looks like Lost also flashed forward. So fantastic little trade. Double Ignite being picked up, and the Queen bottom lane getting ahead early, Fish, which is very important.
It certainly is. Let's see if Lost and Cupcake are able to continue snowballing against this Kalista Alistar lane. So far, the draft coming out from Legacy has looked good. It's set up their lanes for success.
Certainly has, and you can see now Carbon wants to duck into the forest, wants to pick himself up some chickens. If you can get a chicken steal in your Carbon, you are feeling very good. This is one of those things that, you know, it's more mental warfare than anything else at this stage. It's not going to hurt Juves all that much, but getting those big CS numbers is nice. You can see now all of a sudden Roma is on the wrong side of the lane, although level 6.
Ooh, flash body block coming out from Carbon. Does get knocked back. Claire taking a lot of damage. He's that one hit away from dying, but Rima should still fall here if Carbon can get the spell rotation, but he can't. Rima stands his ground and is able to fend off the game.
And he gets both flashes out of Claire and Carbon just because he reached level 6 first, and that power spike that you get. Funnily enough, he's once again using Ugly Syndra skin. I believe that has something to do with Swiffer as well. I don't exactly know. A little bit of a tango going down bottom side of mid lane.
A big, impressive play coming out from the mid lane off. Sin is top lane again, just trading. Now, this has been completely even between Dokla and Tally.
It certainly has been. I mean, big wave starting to build up for Dokla, so he'll probably go up in CS here, Fish. Tally, smart top laner, but hasn't had the most impressive split.
No.
I would say he's got better as the split's gone on, however. And was known as a big game player when he first came in.
He was very scary last year. One of his first few seasons as a top laner. Looked
that
good.
was
Interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, the thing that people don't understand about Riposte is it also gets rid of like your attack speed as well as your movement speed. It's just a silly item if it actually, silly ability if it actually hits you. But I was going to say there's a potential for Tally to go aggressive there after it is down. He was exhausted, so he wasn't going to have Mega or anything like that.
Another engaged bottom lane. FBI will be able to get out of both the knock-up as well as the ultimate from Lost.
Yeah, that was disappointing out of Lost. Didn't get the angle right at the start of it. They burned the ulti before Cupcake has his available. So that's just going to be a little bit of non-action.
Yeah, so it seems like Sin's bottom lane have stopped the bleeding after First Blood went over to Lost. Rima picks up a blue buff for himself. Carbon's actually, sorry, Claire's ducked into the jungle to help Carbon out slightly.
Yeah, that was strange. Maybe this is a new give Claire red buff strategy that I haven't seen, potentially.
Bond of Stone was picked up by Carbon as well, whereas Juves has gone for coverage of Colossus.
Yeah, that makes sense. Extra HP coming out means that we're probably going to see Cinderhulk picked up for Carbon. Hell, we might even see an Ardent Sensor Gragas jungle Fish. He built Redemption at this time last year. Why not?
On Lee Sin.
Yeah, just go all in.
Knight's Vow into Ardent Sensor, lock it. You're good, Carbon. You're good to go.
He's the tanky support man. Rima doing a very good job of controlling this mid lane.
Certainly is. Claire hasn't fallen behind. You don't expect that out of Karma. Should do fine very early on. Legacy do win the ward battle and save their control ward.
Yeah, and it's a Fire Drake first up, so Kalista should add a little bit to that objective, Fish.
Sin already looking to try and get some good trades. Bottom lane lost the Cupcake, jump back over the wall. They're back to safety. Dead even game so far. Slight goal lead for Legacy.
Yeah, really good game so far out of both teams, actually. You can see that Sin are looking for windows to go aggressive, and Legacy are good at shutting down that aggression. However, top lane, Dokla is on a timer. Eventually, no one will be able to go with him in the split push. So Tally needs to be very aware. They haven't even ganked the Fiora yet. And Carbon, you're standing on a ward.
Carbon's been spending a lot of time trying to get ganks mid lane.
Maokai is in bottom lane, so this should be a free invade. And double chicken takeaway means that Carbon is now about a level and a half up on Juves, which is a big deal. Juves needs to have an impact on this Maokai jungle.
Yeah, Carbon's level 7, Juves still level 5. You'd expect him to hit 6 after this Krug camp he's about to take, but good jungle advantage from Legacy.
Krugs isn't the quickest camp that Maokai does, however. You can see Carbon checking the angle on that, gets both wards.
And Legacy might try to look towards this Infernal Dragon next. Claire was cutting in, and we saw Cupcake moving up towards the river, but they decided not to and just establish vision control first.
Yeah, they're just looking to be a little bit of a bully lane now, Fish. You can see every opportunity they have, they're looking to move forward. It was interesting that Cupcake went Moby Boots before he actually went towards upgraded corner or anything like that. Carbon actually going to look to just solo out this Dragon.
I mean, they do have good vision control, and Claire is now rotating down. Will
Also
assist with some
called
damage.
the fact that Ryoma had gone back to base. And Juves kind of knows this is gone because he can't get through the Brushfish, and that's just going to be an Infernal Drake picked up at 10 minutes. And I mean, Legacy's supposed to be the scaling team here.
And it's a very clean early game coming out from Legacy so far. As long as they don't fall behind, they should do just fine in that late game. And next Dragon is going to be another Infernal Drake. So if Legacy can keep up this tempo, stack up the Infernal Drakes, they're going to scale even better heading into mid-game.
I like what Ryoma's doing here, however. Goes into the jungle, checks the Raptors. He's actually going to look to take them away from himself. So that's a little bit of, you know, anything you can do, I can do better. Timmy Wendell. Claire actually uses second teleport back mid lane again, so he doesn't want to fall behind Fish.
He's staying slightly ahead of Ryoma. Will have a better back as well. And Karma's just not fun to play against in the mid lane. She just wave clears, and if you ever all in her, all her health comes back from the empowered W.
Yep, certainly one of the champions that looks very basic to play, but you need to know your decision making as opposed to your mechanics needs to be very good on Karma. You need to know when you can empower your E in team fights, when it needs to be an empowered Q flying out. And also, you know, what are you going to be doing with that W? Are you getting health back? Are you just looking to lock down a priority tank? So we'll see whether Claire can play it well in the team fights. Laning on Karma is very easy. You just do that over and over again.
Do not empower Q, just Q.
Just Q. Just keep chipping out Qs on the wave, especially against something like Syndra that can all-in you. And it should be Q into E max.
Ooh, that's a flash forward. They're trying to lock down FBI. He's going to flash away, but he's dead. Legacy pull the trigger bottom lane again and get their second kill.
And that was 3 summoner spells burnt to just take down FBI. But boy, oh boy, is that worth it because he's going to lose a big creep wave at turret. This could even be the first turret falling down, Fish. And Legacy's bottom lane has showed up to play. Great flash.
Twisted Advance brings him over the wall. Claire is going to get locked down. Good ultimate from Carbon. Let's see if it is enough. Claire's trying to run away. Flash forward from Juice. Smacks him in the face like a big tree.
Here comes the bottom lane.
And they're trying to collapse. Let's see if he can get back out. Carbon will slow both of them down with the barrel. Juice turns around, sacrifices his life to let Ryoma get out alive.
Yeah, really nicely played out of Juice. He had to die there. Otherwise, Carbon just would have repetitively kept body slamming and chasing them out. So he had to turn around, go back in. Good collapse out of Legacy's bottom lane. That's what we expect to see out of them. And they will be able to push in this lane and get a free shop as well, Fish. So everything looking up Legacy right now, 2,000 gold lead and commanding performances out of Cupcake and Lost.
It certainly has been. Legacy have been the proactive team. They've reacted very well to everything Sin have thrown at them. And it seems like now, since Sin haven't done much early game, they're really relying on Dokla.
Yeah, they certainly are. However, Juves will continue to scale, and that was the first real strength we saw of Maokai. Locks him down with a W, into a Q, into the ultimate, flashes after him to Q him again. I mean, it's so hard to get away from Maokai. Far out.
That's a lot of damage. FBI has to be careful, and Legacy's still going. Cupcake's going back in for another knockup. FBI's trying to chuck as many spears as possible into them, but just gets a bit of damage down.
Gets a pretty good return trade in the end. That looked like it was going to be much worse for the Legacy, the Sin duo lane. Cupcake and Lost look very at home on Rakan and Xayah. And I know that we give Cupcake a hard time because he can't play Thresh, but if you play Rakan like this, you don't really need to Fish.
Certainly don't. And I mean, a couple of teams have tried to hit Cupcake's champion pool, but he always has a couple of pocket picks that he's more than happy to bring
Taric.
out. Trundle, Taric, Arden, Sensor, Bard. You name it, he can play it.
We're not saying Bard anymore. I think we saw Bard picked up by Rosie last week, and Destiny absolutely destroy him for it.
Showed you why you should
And
not
I
pick
think
Bard.
that means that all the top teams will no longer pick Bard, because we've seen what will happen if it is played against well, because that can nearly solo lose you a game. Not saying that Rosie did solo lose that game, obviously lots of other things went badly, but if a Blitzcrank is going to play that way, it's very hard.
Certainly is. Legacy going for another initiation. They've caught out Juice, already at half health. Tries to turn this one back around. Knocks both Carbon and
going
Cupcake
anywhere.
back. Ultimate will come out, trying to keep them locked down. He lives with a sliver of health. Carbon, though, will flash in. Big CC from Rogue stops the popping of the barrel, but he might be the one that falls, or is he? As FBI's trying to get
That's
away.
huge.
He gets caught out. He's going to get taken down. Rogue should fall shortly after as well. And that's a disaster for Sin's bottom lane.
It certainly is, but Cupcake needs to stop taking kills. He's 3-0-2. The first couple were from Ignites. That was an auto attack. Should have just stopped hitting him. But at the same time, Legacy is absolutely everywhere on the bottom side of the map right now. Sure, Dokla is on a little bit of a time limit right now, but really, when your bottom lane's this far ahead, it's not going to matter.
And now it's a 3,500 gold for Legacy. Make it 4,500 as they take down the first turret of the game as well.
Yeah, and next Dragon being Infernal in a minute's time means that they can now push in. They can look to get something done. You can see Claire dancing around. Needs to be a little bit careful.
Ultimate comes out, locks him down, picks up a solo kill against Claire, but Legacy are piling on in towards the Syndra. Tally jumps in, about to go Nega. Does not hit his boomerang. They're stuttering on words.
Yeah, that's all right. I did it before as well. That's a little bit of a bad TP out of Tally, to be honest. Mid laner was already dead. Ryoma had the Ghost to be able to run away. He's going to miss a big creep wave top lane. You can see that he actually even just gives up catching it and recalls. So a little bit unfortunate for the top laner of Legacy. Probably should have stayed at home, and Claire just got caught out.
It's a 4,000 gold lead for Legacy at the moment, so they're playing fantastically so far. But what exactly has gone wrong for Sin?
I mean, their bottom lane has just honestly been out-fought Fish. Alistar has a really bad level 1. You could see that that was exploited because they caught him out and he had to burn 2 health potions. And since then, they just haven't been ahead at any point, so able to fight. You can see Lost is now on Essence Reaver as well as a Zeal versus, what, just the makings of a Boar. There's no way they can contest this, so they recognize it, they go topside and play around Rift Herald instead.
Juice and Rogue are looking to pick this one up for themselves. The rest of Legacy have collapsed towards
this
the
could
Infernal
be a
Dragon.
collapse because they know that they have to be somewhere. They haven't shown on Summoner's Rift. They can stop this if they want, Fish, and actually get both objectives.
So they will put a ward over the pit. Juice really wants this.
Yeah, you can't have it, Juice. That is unfortunate. They just did not do it quick enough. They sent FBI top lane. You can see the hard reset comes across. And Lost, unfortunately, didn't get over the wall, but still will make his way top. Double Infernal Drake and a 4,000 gold lead at this stage of the game is massive.
It certainly is. Legacy looking to propel into the late game just fine. They will swap out their AD carrying support towards top side of the map.
If you are someone that wants to understand, like, what's the difference between pro play and solo queue, watch how Lost and Cupcake just walk top lane. Ward into the brush to make sure that they're not there setting up a game. Ward into the Rift Herald pit to shut that down. Go over the blast plant and don't go through the try. And when you do go into the try, make sure you ward it with a control ward so that Dokla can't TP behind you, because right now, Sin Gaming have the teleport advantage, although Claire, you're dead.
They're going to lock him down. Easy pickup in the mid lane for Sin.
So, really nice vision control from Legacy, and Claire getting caught again. Yeah. Story of the game.
Whenever there's a Maokai in the jungle, your mid lane will eventually die thanks to Flash Twisted Advance.
Yep.
And so far, Ryoma has been having a good game. Claire has not, but he's picked up his item power spikes. Athene's into Ardent Sensor. That's going to buff up both Lost and Tally, who are doing absolutely fine at the moment. Carbon wants to get a gank on towards Ryoma, knocks him into a wall, will get slowed down. Charmed and knocked up, and a dinosaur jumps on his face as well, chucks the building into him, gets that kill. Lost almost dies, but survives.
Yeah, that was close. Lost did fall down pretty low. And you can see because Cupcake is going double engage, Items has picked himself up the red Sightstone. That means that Claire is going to have to be the support player. And Tally has a couple more of those. You can see that he leaves the lane, and it goes down to about, below half, actually. So that was a good chunk coming out of Dokla. But Tally has to use his priority of pushing out this wave to be able to impact the rest of the map. So that was a good roam, a little bit of a good gank into the mid lane. Gets himself a kill. It means that maybe, just maybe, he'll survive the split push for a little while longer.
Potentially. Let's see if it's going to be enough.
Trinity
Force
Force
already picked up, and he's looking towards his Ravenous Hydra next. Tiamat already complete. Once he gets those 2 items, it's going to be difficult for Tally to go up against
It's
him.
impossible. You can't fight him anymore. I mean, maybe if you could stay mini forever and just kite him out. But unfortunately, he's already got 20% cooldown reduction. He's going to grab boots too pretty soon as well. As soon as any kind of lifesteal comes in. I mean, potentially Tally can get himself a Bramble Vest and get rid of some of that lifesteal. I would like to see that pick up, actually, towards the Thornmail for late game. He is going up against both the Callista as well as the Fiora, both of which rely very heavily on lifesteal to be able to continue team fights.
And if it was any other game, you'd say Dokla's doing phenomenal at the moment. But right now, he needs to put up an impressive performance
Yeah, he
against
needs
Tally.
to hard carry right now.
He's trying to. He's just dashed on top of a Minina who is nowhere near
Tally
going
can jump
mega.
in.
He decides not to. Tally
Yeah.
plays it safe.
Dokla still has the ultimate available.
But look at
Tally's
this.
just respecting it.
Juves is right behind him. There's the dash coming in. Dokla, oh,
matter.
that's a big mistake. Tally might still fall for this because Reimer is
should.
ghosting in, and Sid will trade 1-for-1, but that's a big blunder
That
from
might
the
be
Fiora.
Baron Fish. I mean, they've just sent 3 people bottom lane, and they do have Karma as well as Zaya to be able to rip through this one. It is going to be a little bit risky, but they have to commit to this. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to pull Legacy off.
So Rogue jumps in, gets a bit of crowd control, but this Baron is way too low. FBI wants to try and see if he can get anything going. Syndra has now made her way towards the river. 700 health, gets taken
Get
away
out.
by Karma. Good smite. Rogue now will be pulled back by FBI. Cupcake goes in for the initiation. Rogue will stop that one. Lost gets the kill. Claire takes one back on towards Rogue. Here comes the Maokai. Looking to lock everyone up, but with Ryoma dead, Sid can't do anything. It'll be Baron as well as 3 kills picked up by Legacy.
What a play out of Tally. Draws 3 people bottom lane, and then Legacy, they commit. We've said that they're not really a Baron team. They don't know when to start it up, Fish. But this time, no hesitation. They commit all 4 members, and they take it down.
Easy pickup for the team. They are now 7,000 gold ahead, looking to make it 9 to 10,000 with the next few plays. And from what was a close game, is now snowballed in Legacy's favor.
And what was a legitimate win condition of a split-pushing Fiora now really isn't going to be. As soon as you're a split-pusher and you get Baron up minions, it just becomes incredibly hard to win the game, Fish. And as you said, there's still so many turrets to be able to take. The super zoomed-in version of the replay. Rogue threw himself in there. He had to. Was getting some good crowd control. But then they just commit to it with people behind the pit. It's a little bit dangerous because you take more damage, but they're still able to turn around and put out enough damage. Ryoma falling first before Juice was there really was a mistake, and then unfortunately Juice just can't protect FBI enough. He takes too much damage, and then they just turn around and kill the tree.
Yeah, Rogue didn't expect that collapse onto the Alistar so early as well. Didn't pop his ultimate early enough. In fact, most of it expired during the duration he was in Fate's Call.
Yep.
But so far, big plays coming out from Legacy, and right as we mentioned that Dokla is doing fine, he had to put up a big performance to pull this game back in Sin's favor. He makes a big blunder and still have no idea as to what he was trying to do there.
Yeah, neither do I. It looked like he was trying to bait, but he just held his ultimate for too long. That's what I thought, that he wouldn't be able to zip around all 4 sides and get the procs that he needed to heal himself up. So it was a little bit of desperation, and it just didn't work, Fish.
Now he's still sitting on the components of his Rapid.
I mean,
It's Hydra, but
Cupcake
Tally
is 3 levels higher than Rogue. Whew. Cupcake is an absolute monster. He's a higher level than Juice, Fish.
Goodness sake. He's got 4 kills and 5 assists. He's got the most kills for Legacy's team.
Yep. So Fed support, as I said, going towards double movement speed, already has Talisman. Going towards his Righteous Glory next.
That's going to make him a
If
big
that's
threat.
another Infernal Drake, I mean, this game is... I don't like to call a game done before it's done, Fish. You know that. But triple Infernal Drake and 10,000 gold lead at 23 minutes.
It's
Is a tough ask.
certainly is. There's 900 lead for Tally, top side of the map. In the jungle, it's another 1,000 going in favor of Carbon. Mid lane is where Sin are even. Roma's about 100 gold ahead there, but bottom lane, it's a 3,800 gold lead for Lost. And it's about the same lead for Cupcake as well, over Rogue. These are massive gold advantages in the bottom lane for Legacy. So if Ryma can pick off Lost at the start of a fight, they could, but that's a Zaya with an invulnerability on her ultimate. It's difficult to do that.
And you have to remember that Legacy is still playing for top spot right now. Everything they do here matters. They need to be able to pick up maximum points. 3 points right now would put them on top of the ladder, would mean that Chiefs can either tie with them if they go 2-0, or Direwolves can still win outright. But Legacy, I mean, they're kind of masters of their own fate right now, Fish, and they need to continue this stranglehold kind of play where they're just rotating around the map and suffocating Sin out of any kind of gold advantage.
Sin were very confident coming into this game, especially after their impressive run in the last few weeks. They're very fired up after their game against AV. They would not be happy with their performance in game number 1 here.
Especially their bottom lane. I mean, you can't afford to have FBI and Rogue 0 kills, 0 assists at 25 minutes into the game. Not when there's 9 kill participations out of 10 for Cupcake and Lost. That is unacceptable play, really. And unfortunately for FBI and Rogue, they've been the carries of the team, but this game they have been outclassed.
And we kind of mentioned that over and over again, that yes, Sin have focus towards top side of map of the wall, especially with Ryoma stepping up, Juice and Dokla working a lot better together. We saw a lot of that this game. Ryoma's still even with Claire and gold, even though Legacy are 10,000 gold ahead. Dokla is doing just fine against Tally, and Juice is okay in the jungle. But Sin historically were a bottom lane focused team with FBI and Rogue, and they can't fall this far behind.
Yeah, exactly right. And they can't do it in a 2v2 sense. I mean, they just got beaten in the 2v2, and that hurts. So we'll see if they can have that hard reset. I mean, this game still isn't over. Scaling of Maokai as well as Fiora always means you're in with a shot. We'll see whether that is actually going to be the case. I mean, maybe Lost gets blown up before a team fight even starts, and then they can have a look at taking a team fight away from Legacy. But right now, with triple Infernal Drake, with the big gold lead, 12,000 gold, it just looks like it is not going to be possible.
And as much of this Soul Strike's drafting, you know, giving over Maokai very early on so they can pick Xayah Rakan nice and early to deny that from Kalista?
I mean, I don't... Yeah, sure, Xayah Rakan's a very strong lane. I will say that. I mean, Lost and Cupcake already proved it. But I don't think it is a, you know, +3 kill strong lane. Unfortunately for Sin, they just took some bad trades. They weren't able to get the people they needed down into bottom lane to help out. I think the Taliyah ban was very important because I've called Ryoma probably the best Taliyah player on the server at the moment. And he has shown that he can impact that bottom lane time and time again. So they didn't have any help. But I don't think that they should have fallen this far behind.
They are trying to collapse on towards Ryoma here, but good headbutt pulverized from Rogue stops Carbon from advancing any further forward. Claire has already picked up the items that you thought he would, which was Ardent's Censer as well as the Themes of Holy Grail and Rabadon's Death Cap. Knight's Vow complete for Carbon. He's going for his Locket next, so he truly is a support jungler here.
I really want to see him get an Ardent Censer afterwards.
Boy.
That would make my day. Not because I think it's a good build before people start yelling at me, just because I think it would be hilarious.
Well, let's see if he does. Meanwhile, Bramblebest has been picked up by Tally after his double health stacking item. He should be moving towards more of the resistance-based items.
Yeah, I think he's going to get a Thornmail, and then he's going to pick himself up Gargoyle Stoneplate, and he's going to be unkillable.
I mean, Thornmail will help him against Fiora in the split push as well.
Yeah, helps him a lot against Kalista if he's frontlining. So I think it's a great item pickup in this game, get maximum value. You can see that Legacy won a team fight here.
They're going to initiate on towards Juice, who's been caught out. Twisted Advance will keep it safe for a while. Flashes out of Cupcake's knocker, and the ultimate from Carbon slams him into a wall.
Look how good their chase is.
Flash burnt, but Legacy still continue to chase.
And all of a sudden, they've sent Ryoma again down into Tally's lane. Flashes away.
And that's a flash straight on top of him. Tally will fall, but at what cost?
Absolutely outplayed. You see that? He put down 2 balls, absolutely missed everything else, and just pressed R.
Well, Legacy are going to collapse on towards Baron. Sin can make this a 4-on-4 if they teleport Dokla over, but this Baron is almost dead, and there's no one from Sin close by.
It's going to die straight away. Rip the feathers out. There goes the smite.
And Rogue already at half health without using his ultimate. FBI will get locked down, forced to flash out. The Alistar is dead straight away. Ryoma only now joining the fight. Sinner looking to fight back. Double kill picked up by Lost. He flashes on FBI's face for the triple. He wants that quadra kill. Dokla's going to make him work for it, but Legacy still chase down Sin.
Yeah, and that's just not a good team fight out of Sin. You can see that their backline gets ripped apart. Ryoma didn't have any mana to start that one up, and they've caught out Dokla as well. He should fall down.
He's going to fall. Lost goes godlike as he picks up his 4th kill. Prolonged and extended in that team fight. Both teleports from Legacy have been used in the mid lane. They're trying to hunt down Ryoma.
I mean, they're just looking to end the game, Fish. They've got 10 seconds, 40 seconds on the top laner. They can just keep Ryoma here. They're going to eventually pick him up as well, and there is nothing they can do. This is nearly game over.
Oh, ultimate being thrown out by Ryoma as well does nothing to Claire. And with that mid laner down, Legacy push in, top side of map, nice and easy. Will be the inhibitor turret that falls. They can't quite get the inhibitor due to the pressure from Simba. Look at Rogue.
Goodness.
He has to flash away. He's going to get taken down by Tally. Surprise boulder to the face. And FBI almost falls as well. He will die as Lost goes underneath the turret. Juice can't stop this one. He's still tanking. Tally gets a double, and they'll march towards the Nexus.
And when Lost is this big, Legacy wins game. They're able to clean it up 30 minutes in, but an 18,000 gold lead. And they absolutely destroy Sin Gaming.
This is exactly how Legacy want to start this series. A very bloody game 1 and a decisive one at that. They'll go 1-up in this best-of-3 series.
I mean, I'm shocked. Coming into this, Sin were the informed team. They have lost 1 best-of-3 since Rift Rivals against Direwolves. And honestly, Fish, they probably should have won that one as well. However, That was an absolute manhandling. That is Legacy playing at their best, and unfortunately, Sin could just not go with them.
I mean, we've mentioned that these two teams have improved dramatically since refinals. You already mentioned, you know, Sin not really dropping any best of threes. Yes, Legacy did drop to AV, but they've already said that they were a weak team at that point. And they were the team that came back from referrals and went 2-0, 2-0, 2-0 and cleaned up their performance. And it just shows here in this game against Sin, they look devastated after that loss.
And you know, there were a couple of things that were a little bit surprising in this game. Dokla actually had the strongest laning phase out of his whole team, maybe. Was put on an island, but then wasn't able to do anything with that when you would expect Fioras to start taking over the game. And at the same time, FPI and Rogue, they got dismantled. I mean, I think that the priority put on Kalista was scouted out. Zaya Rakan was going to be the combo. And unfortunately, it really, that Braum ban from Sin just meant that nothing was going to be able to stop Lost that game.
Yeah, especially with Thresh being taken off, which is expected. Cupcake doesn't play it, and it's Rogue's signature champion. So he didn't have much to work with. And his Alistar looked pretty off in that match.
Yeah, it certainly did. I mean, his laning phase wasn't good. He got all in level 1 when he unfortunately was by himself. And then, unfortunately, the laning... When you use 2 potions level 1, I mean, that's so much effective health just gone fish. So you can't really blame him for that. But at the same time, you got to be able to protect that invade a little bit better.
Yep, and it didn't work out for Sin in that game to 1. Legacy were able to tear them apart. Going into game 2 now, they must be so confident in this match against Sin.
Oh, 100%. When you do that on a red side draft, when you're able to, you know, absolutely scout what's coming and have a better answer to it, you go into game 2 very confident.
Well, that's enough from us. Let's send it back to the analysts to get their thoughts on that game.
Thank you, Fish. Thank you, Spawn. And do you guys know Spawn came second in the National Spoofing Championships yesterday? It's about guessing coins.
I feel like you have to explain what spoofing is.
It's, yeah, I said it's guessing coins.
Yeah,
anyway,
good.
it's good stuff. Anyway, let's talk about this game, shall we? Legacy too strong for Sin in that first game. And I feel like it was probably more one side than we expected, Josh.
Yeah, no, the real loser from that game was me because I need Sin to take the win, right? So I think that, yeah, first and foremost, can you guys please pick it up a little bit? But yeah, I think that that was sort of making me look like a fool a little bit because I was like, you know what, like Sin played really aggressive early and Legacy is slow to start. And it was actually sort of flipped on its head. Like Sin had to play like really slow so that Fiora would scale and get into the game and then take over, you know, past 2 items and things like that. Whereas Legacy, with the Zyra Calm combo, you know, early ganking pressure out of Carbon, I think that, you know, they just took over the game really early.
Yeah, and we saw in the mid lane early on, we have a replay with it, we saw Legacy not respecting Sin's aggression. Claire, earlier than this replay even shows, uses his mantra in lane. The gank from Juves is pinged out and doesn't respect it at all. And we were going back before it saying Sin do play aggressive early. Why are you not respecting that gank? Legacy do collapse and get the trade kill, but one of the few win conditions Sin will have, especially when Legacy's bot lane are doing extremely well, is Ryoma just getting extremely strong. Sure, Zaya can dodge the ultimate, but why is he letting the Syndra even scale at all? Just make it a neutral lane.
Yeah, I think like the saving grace for that is that, you know, the bottom lane of Legacy have already asserted their dominance. Just prior to that, they get a solo kill in lane, and then Zyra Khan are able to float up through the river and then to turn that sort of bad trade around. So that it wasn't actually that terrible for Legacy. Obviously, they do get the trade kill. And then they can like bring it back a little bit. So I think that, yeah, you know, round 1 of like the 80 carry Titan battle sort of probably goes to loss for this one, I think. He had a really good performance.
But I feel like we were talking about before, Ryoma was able to hold his own and was actually kind of in front, was getting a lot of picks on Claire during the early game, but towards the mid game, Legacy kind of just took control, Josh.
Yeah, so I think we definitely said that it would get to a point in the game where Nah can't be in a side lane against Fiora, and Fiora would get 2 items and, you know, just be able to control the game based on her like 1v5 attempt, I guess. And so Legacy sort of get put on a time a little bit. They're forced to start a Baron, I think, based off like the roam from the 2 out of... Yeah, so Syndra and Maokai roam down bot to try kill Nah with Fiora. Fiora dies, so they can't TP to this, and then Legacy, as I said, they're forced to start the Baron, right? If they just don't do anything, they just lose out across the map. And it's, you know, it's a little too late, I think, from Sin. Legacy all kite into the back of the pick. Back of the pit. Claire lives on 2 HP, and, you know, Juves gets to the fight after it's practically over. FBI is like pushed out of the fight, and, you know, at this point, Legacy get the Baron, so now they have control of the side waves as well, and they'll have pushing power over Fiora just from the Baron enhanced minions. So it's a really, really hard game from there, I think, for Sin to claw that one back.
Yeah, and for something that Sin forced Legacy to do, they didn't really know what to do after it started. They didn't start contesting the Baron early with Kalista. Yes, if Kalista goes near the Baron, she's going to get engaged on. But if you're going to contest the Baron, Your whole goal is to buy time for Juves.
Yeah.
Buy time till Maokai gets there, because that's your only hope. If not, why are they even there? Why are they contesting it? Take a bot tower, take a mid tower, do something on the other side of the map. Obviously not beneficial, not what you want to do, right? Trade a tower for a Baron.
So what happens
But-
if Juice gets there, though? He throws a cask, then he outsmites Carbon. Is that, by the way, is that what happens?
Juice
Or-
was playing.
you hope.
Juice was playing Maokai. So
Oh,
I,
Juice
I don't think
outsmart-
he's
oh,
throwing
sorry.
any casts.
My apologies. I got mistaken.
Juves outsmarted Levi,
Right.
all right? You think he can't outsmart Carbon?
Yeah. So he throws the Maokai ult, then locks everyone down,
Well,
and
I
they
think-
try and engage off that. Like, I feel like it's already 3v5 or 3v4 at that point. Like, I feel like either way, even if he gets there, they turn
To
around
me,
and
the
kill him.
Baron is the Baron's gone. So I think
Yeah.
when you're walking towards that Baron, you're not talking about a smite contest or looking to steal the Baron. You're looking to fight them afterwards and just deny as many buffs as you can. And the Baron shreds a lot of MR. So if Tommy gets to that fight as well, he's doing a lot of extra damage against all the targets of all the targets on Legacy as well. So I think what you're looking to do there is you're just looking to they probably get the Baron, they get the gold from it, but 3 or 4 of them might die, and then the game becomes a lot easier. But as Tegan mentioned, they were just really, really slow to contest, and they didn't actually slow the Baron speed down at all. They just sort of watched it go down, then it dies, then they come to the contest, and they just lose the fight.
Do you think that this is a mistake that Sin repeatedly made during that game in terms of getting to the Baron fights late, Tegan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw the second Baron attempt. They did the exact same thing, right? They overcommitted bottom. Legacy took the Baron again. We have a replay of it that'll come up soon. But it's just a reoccurring issue
Deja
where
vu.
there's 2 people deep in bot lane. Yes, he has TP, but you're never getting here in time. Rogue even goes in a lot earlier here, gets a great knockup, but the Baron's already dead. So we go back to Jish's point, which is now you're just trying to remove Baron buffs off the map, which I don't think is ever a great trade to do.
13k gold lead, 13k gold lead plus 3 Infernals, by the way. So, this fight is actually impossible to win as the worst team fighting composition. The game is all but over here. I think
Fiora runs
Sin
away.
probably realized that too. So I think that, the first Baron sort of got them control of the game, and the second Baron is just the icing on the cake.
3 in finals is just unfair.
Yeah,
it's
it's a
just
joke. It's
straight
actually-
up
actually a
unfair.
joke.
Well, if it's unfair, contest the Infernals, Get in there. Take the
Yeah.
Infernals. That's like...
Step number 1, do not give someone 3 Infernal
Yeah.
Dragons, and you can
Yeah.
win the game.
Let's talk about the draft phase then. I think the casters were talking to you about Rogue on Alistar. Would you have taken Alistar into Zyra Khan, Jish?
It's such a hard call to make, right? Because you don't know what the communication is like on stage for the team. And I think that the Kalista Alistar lane is always just probably going to naturally lose that. And there's maybe a window at 6 where they can go in if all things go even. But Zyra Khan is such a powerful, such a punishing lane. And we saw, even from level 1, they were just dashing in with Rakan and starting to fight, chunking them to half HP. And I think, obviously this question's better suited to you, T-Gun. What lane, can you take into that and actually possibly win?
Bearing in mind that Braum is banned, Thresh is banned.
Yeah,
Tristana's
Braum,
banned.
Thresh, and Tristana are banned, so they sort of dug themselves a hole. Sin were the ones that banned Braum and Tristana, and I think Legacy recognized that and said, well, what do you pick in Desire Rakan? Because I'm racking my brain, and I think Alistar's all right as long as you get through that tough 1, 2, 3 phase.
Kalista Blitzcrank?
Not very good against Zyra Khan. I'm a
Interesting,
big Blitz
interesting.
fan, not very good.
I think
it's hard to say.
You just have to
It's
look
really
to scale,
hard.
right?
Yeah.
You don't want to fight them. You just want to pick something that scales, which Kalista Alistar does do very well. And if you don't get punished for it, they might have a significant impact in team fight should you get there.
If they're going to scale, they could have taken something like Kog Lulu, Twitch Jana. Obviously, still not great lanes for 2v2ing, but
Supplementing, I think, for the Fiora a little bit. If you have a
Yeah,
carry
it's-
top, you probably want to tank in the bottom lane. So, Alistar does have great scaling in that sense. He just got punished very hard early.
But they were obviously planning this Fiora pick sorry, I should ask. Were they planning this Fiora pick or is it something that they reacted to the Gnar pick, do you
Am I
think?
getting asked to leak scrims?
Not at all. No, I'm asking if
obviously,
as an analyst.
there is no way you walk into the OPL and be like, oh, let's just pull out Fiora randomly. Obviously, that's something that they've rehearsed and something
Sure.
they're comfortable on.
Yeah.
So I think that
1,000 games of Fiora.
Yeah, that whole draft makes a lot of sense. They take Maokai, they take the Alistar, so they can play something aggressive like Fiora or Jace if it wasn't banned. So I think that, their draft, I think, was probably quite fine. They just got punished too hard too early.
That's spot on. Like we said before, you needed to just play passive bot, wait till the Fiora comes online, because until she gets at least 1.5, if not 2 items, she's not going to win the split hard enough to take towers. She's not going to be active on the map. So forcing on objectives early sucks. Yes, they're Infernal Drakes, so you kind of need to force, but Sin just couldn't find the right things to force on, right opportunities to take. They did find a few things like the gank in mid, but they just went too hard too early.
I'm surprised by this Fiora pick because last week on the desk, Juves and Carbon were very vocal, both about how Fiora players are deeply frustrating to work with because they always just want an extra item. When they've got 2, they want 3. When they've got 3, they want 4. And now, or four-dimensional chess. Were they putting that? Was Juve saying that last week to people? Thinking, oh yeah, they're not going to pick Fiora now, and then he like doubles back and does it. You know what I mean? That's what Bensel sent him in last week to like put lies and slander here on the desk so he could double back. That's my theory.
Maybe Juve's just
I'm a Fiora
wanted to,
truther.
Get his frustration out there because he's had to play with this Fiora player for so long. He just wanted to vocalize it and maybe deter him from picking it. You can't. If there's one person I'm not going to try and get into his head, it's Shoes. All right, I'm not going to try to even pretend to know what he's thinking at any
I don't
stage.
think he knows what he's thinking.
All right, we have a tweet that's just come in via hashtag #IamOPL. Let's bring it up on your screen. Summon a spell that I would. Oh, I should say. We asked you for which summon spell you would add to the game, and Levanti has tweeted in saying, "I would add Spell Reflect, reflecting damage and crowd control abilities." I feel like that would be busted.
I feel like that's cleanse on steroids, right? Like you can just absorb CC and then just like reflect the damage or something. It sounds pretty cool. Like imagine like do like whatever, however you like say it, reflecting like Karthus ult or something. Just like being like, hey Karthus, like just take this one back, like 700 like HP nuke.
It feels like that sort of thing where in Earth or ARAM, everyone takes that ability, and Karthus is just going to get hit by 5 of his own ultimates and just get exploded off the map. But I think it'd be great. I think as long as you give it a
As
17...
a Blitzcrank player,
Yeah.
do you definitely still think it's a good
Yes.
idea?
How would
Throwing
you
out the
hook
hook?
yourself?
I don't
How
know,
would you
but
hook
that
yourself?
would just be fun.
You would hook
I'd
yourself
do
and then you'd drag like your blitz to them, I guess.
Does it work
But then
like
you
a
could use it as
Fiora
an
play?
engage.
Like it just redirects the stun
I've
or
got no
something?
idea, but it'd be hilarious. And as long as you give it a long ass
Someone-
cooldown,
right, to probably
maybe
hide
it's
this
good.
guy. This
Yeah,
guy has
exactly.
Good,
Good
ideas.
game design. Do you have any ideas for a summoner spell you would add to the game, Tegan?
Nope.
No?
My favorite one has been removed, and we're not allowed to recommend it. So
Revive. Was it Revive? You were a fan of Revive. You're dying a lot in your early days, were you?
don't want to talk about it.
Just thoughts? Any ideas on a summoner spell you'd like to add to the game?
A composite, and this is sort of like dodging the question a little bit. I would
Right.
like to be able to remove items from the game.
Oh,
I want to remove
banning out
item sensor.
items.
Yeah, I just get rid of item sensor. You know, that item
Everyone
sucked.
would.
In the
I no
draft
longer want that.
phase.
Yeah, just get rid of that one.
You ban 5. You can ban
Yeah.
4 champs and an item, or 5 champs.
Yeah, I just reckon get rid of item sensor. So maybe a summon spell that lets you like delete someone's item when they buy it. It's like, oh yeah, get rid of that.
Mate,
Buy
that's
it
the.
again.
I reckon that's. So you know the new champ that's coming out, Orn, how he like enhances items.
Yeah.
I reckon that's a it's 2018.
Yeah.
That's another champ that bring out one that just like steals your items, puts him in a big sack and throws him in the river. That's how. And you got to kill a dragon to get him
Should
back.
write these ideas down.
Yeah,
and sell them.
exactly. All right. Do tweet at us, hashtag IMOPL. Let us know which summoner spell you would add to the game, or you can pop off in Twitch chat and let us know. But for now, it is time for us to get into our second match of this Sin taking on Legacy. So let's check out some highlights from game number 1.
Going down to Rogue. Good damage coming in as well. That might be first blood, and it is picked up by Loss. Very confident from Legacy's bottom lane. Big CC from Rogue stops the popping of the barrel, but he might be the one that falls, or is he? As FBI's trying to get
That's
away,
huge.
he gets caught out. He's going to get taken down. Rogue should fall shortly after as well, and that's a disaster for Sin's bottom lane. Rogue now will be pulled back by FBI. Cupcake goes in for the initiation. Rogue will stop that one. Lost gets a kill. Claire takes one back on towards Rogue. Here comes the Maokai, looking to lock everyone up, but with Ryoma dead, Sin can't do anything. It'll be Baron as well as 3 kills picked up by Legacy. The FBI will get locked down, forced to flash out. The Alistar is dead straight away. Ryoma only now joining the fight. Sin are looking to fight back. Double kill picked up by Lost. He flashes on FBI's face for the triple. He wants that quadra kill. Juice can't stop this one. He's still tanking. Tally gets a double, and they will march towards the Nexus.
And when Lost is this big, Legacy wins game. They're able to clean it up 30 minutes in, but an 18,000 gold lead, and they absolutely destroy Sin Gaming.
This is exactly how Legacy want to start this series. A very bloody game 1, and a decisive one at that. They'll go 1-up in this best of 3 series. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.